Mr. Chairman. Thank you all for coming today. Interesting discussion. Ethics is not an easy job. I did it in many committees in medicine over the last 30 years. It's always hard to judge people when there's a mirror in front of your face all the time. And so I appreciate your service. I would like to ask Mr. Ashmawy, and I'm not ganging up on you. I'm not doing that. I'm trying. I know this is not easy. I'm not pretending it's easy. But, you know, there were a couple incidents that you've had with alcohol and some other things. Some you're not your fault, some your fault. I'm just interested, you know, when someone is relieved of pay and goes to get things straight away, what process did you have to go through to earn the trust of your coworkers again?
Well, I think the most important aspect of the program was a random urinalysis program. So it meant, you may or may not know that it turns out that they can now detect the alcohol metabolites as far back as almost 4 days. And so I was subject to that, continue to actually be subject to that. And I'm very proud to report that I've always had negative results in that regard. It also tests, by the way, for other drugs, but thankfully that's not an issue.
You mentioned syncope as being related to this. If you had a separate work, I won't do a HIPAA violation here, but if you, because that's, you know, if you're alcohol, if you're syncope, you're out. It's not a short little event.
So it's, yes, as you clearly understand, I've had a number of episodes related to syncope. I've been hospitalized on 2 occasions, most recently here at GW last month. I am working through various specialists and addressing that separately from my alcoholism.
Are you allowed to drive?
I don't drive.
Okay. All right. I'll just leave that as it is. I want to get a little bit into how you guys work, what this is all about. Fortunately, I've not had to my knowledge, any ethical complaints. But can you guys point to where you get most of your tips from? Yeah, sure, you can start.
Sure. The Office of Congressional Ethics has, so one of the things that's, just very quickly.
Is there like a 1-800 report on your congressman line?
It is, we are the public-facing entity, and so we do receive a tremendous amount of unactionable material. It's one of the reasons why we don't notify people, the subject of an incoming submission, because so many times the submission itself is just irrelevant to the work that we do, and clearly on its face, not a violation. And so it has always been our belief that bothering members of Congress—
Are they anonymous?
Sometimes they're anonymous, often they're not. Mostly they're not.
What do y'all do in the instance where you have the suspicion that is a political attack? Is there a special remediation? Is there special discernment? Let me just ask Mr. Barnes on how that gets handled.
We get those all the time, political attacks. And we one of the advantages of having former members serving on this.
So how do you tell the difference between a political attack?
We can spot that pretty easily.
Okay. But what do you do? How do you act on that?
Well, we take that very much into account. That doesn't mean a violation didn't occur. So there might be a look. There would be on any accusation. There's going to be a look to see if there's any kinds of substance at all to it. But we won't even begin a preliminary investigation without a pretty thorough analysis that indicates that something might have happened.
Who makes that decision as to whether to proceed forward?
Well, our staff of investigators, and these are all former.
Do you all sit on and vote on it on a committee to proceed?
Former investigators. We've got a former detective who's sitting behind me here, who works for us. We've got a former an attorney for the Congress. We've got. All
right. Well, you got groups. How do you make the decision? How do you make the decision? They go through these
50,000 things initially before they don't bring something to the board that's obviously frivolous. We got a lot of complaints about President Obama or about President Trump. They have nothing to do with us.
All right. Who makes the final decision as to whether you proceed with an allegation or something with a member of Congress?
The board.
The board.
Only the board.
Okay. And is that by simple majority vote, or what is that done?
To start the investigation, it takes 2 members, 1 Democrat, 1 Republican. You can't open an investigation without that. Now, usually, and almost all the stuff we do as the board ends up being unanimous. As I said, we have a great spirit of collegiality and respect, mutual respect. Almost everything, way over 80% of everything we've ever done in my tenure has been unanimous.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.